There are meta builds that only use the best of the best. There are troll builds that have some of the quirkiest interactions. But there's one hunter build that, like my ex, I just keep coming back to. That's because it's not only strong, offering a ton of survivability and damage, but it also causes a ton of damage numbers to appear on screen, which tickles my ADHD brain in just the right spot. This build excels in a range of categories, but the number one thing it's known for is creating the most volatile explosions possible. Shoot, this build is even more volatile than my ex. Let's get into it. As we mentioned, this build is all about causing as many volatile explosions as possible. That's because we're bringing the exotic chest piece, Gyrfalcon's How-berk. Now, because this build is on the Prismatic subclass, you can choose to run the exotic class item instead, with Spirit of Gyrfalcon. That can give you room to bring another exotic perk, like Spirit of Inmost Light, Spirit of Galanor, or even Spirit of Caliban. Mind you, the exotic class item isn't necessary, it's just a benefit. And that's because with Gyrfalcon, we gain volatile rounds for our void weapons anytime we come out of invisibility. Going invisible becomes incredibly easy when we bring the aspect Stylus Executioner. That way, when we kill an enemy that has any debuff on it, we go invisible. This creates a loop. Once started, you can use your void weapons to apply volatile to an enemy, so that when that enemy is killed, you go invisible to refresh your timer on your volatile rounds. This is the main concept of the build, but there are many things to add and improve on this build, so let's briefly cover what abilities and aspects pair well with this build. When it comes to the super, you have flexibility. I mainly like Tether to lock down an area and deal the most damage to bosses, but you could alternatively run Silk Strike if you want to have even more ad clearing potential, and access to Woven Mail, but we'll touch on how to get Woven Mail in a second. For the class ability, I'm normally a big advocate for Gambler's Dodge so that you can get back your melee, but for this build, I'm bringing a Void Machine Gun, and they take forever to reload, which is why I like to bring Marksman's Dodge, and for that melee, you do have some flexibility. I mainly like to bring Withering Blade. This melee gives you 2 charges, and does enough damage to make them easy to kill. It also applies slow, meaning that we can easily use this to jumpstart that volatile cycle. As for the grenade, you do have a bit more flexibility here as well, but my favorite option is to use the grapple grenade in normal to expert content. But in really hard content like Grandmaster Nightfalls, I'd probably opt for the swarm grenade instead. When it comes to the aspects, we already touched on the main one, which is Stylus Executioner, offering you that invisibility anytime you get a kill on a debuff target. But the second aspect I like to take is Gunpowder Gamble. You start to work up charges by getting kills, and when you hit 6 charges, you get an ignition on a stick. With a build like this, you can work up stacks incredibly fast. That's because kills with elemental debuffs, i.e. Volatile Explosions, will give you 3 stacks each. It does have a 6-second cooldown in between uses, so this means you'll basically have a Gunpowder Gamble grenade ready to go every 6 seconds. Oh yeah, and like I said, it's an ignition on a stick, so you can use it to stun unstoppable champions. As for the fragments, the first one I'm taking is Facet of Dawn. Now, power melee hits will make us radiant, and power melee kills will give nearby allies radiant for 5 seconds. This gives us an extra 25% weapon damage, but it also lets us stun barrier champions with ease. Then I bring Facet of Purpose. That way, whenever we pick up an Orb of Power, we gain a buff depending on our super. With Tether, you get a Void Overshield, and with Silk Strike, you'll get that Woven Mail. We'll create a ton of orbs from Void Weapon kills, so this will be super easy to proc. Facet of Protection is another good fragment, giving us an extra 15% damage resistance while surrounded. I mainly like to take this for my grapple melee to give me a bit more survivability when I'm using that grapple, and that's why I'm also taking Facet of Mending, so that grenade kills will cure you. This helps get back any health lost while grappling, and with Gunpowder Gamble constantly available to use, we can heal on demand with our grenades. Finally, I take Facet of Courage. This one is a bit controversial, since most of your abilities are darkness abilities. However, I do like to have my Gunpowder Gamble grenade dealing more damage, and possibly Volatile Explosions, though I couldn't confirm if Volatile Explosions actually get boosted from this. Alternatively, you could run Facet of Ruin so that your ignitions have a larger radius, and Shatter deals more damage over a larger radius. And if you want to deal some damage, go ahead and smash that like button. Why am I this way? So what does this look like in action? Well, bringing a chill clip weapon is huge. That way you can shoot and kill an enemy to start that volatile cycle. Otherwise, you can use Withering Blade to slow, or grapple melee to spread unravel. Kill any debuffed enemy to go invisible. Then pull out your void weapons and start going to town. You'll constantly be going in and out of invisibility, which will refresh your volatile rounds timer. And don't forget to use your Gunpowder Gamble grenade whenever you get it back, since it's just free damage. When it comes to improving the build, for stats, I like to shoot for 100 resilience. defense. Then I aim for as much discipline and strength as possible, with any leftover stats going into mobility. That way I can have a high uptime on our grenade and melee for more cure and radiant. When it comes to armor mods, first for the helmet, I like to take a void siphon mod to help create a ton of orbs. Once we start our volatile cycle, killing with our void weapons is the main goal and will help you create an absolute butt ton of orbs. Then I bring a heavy ammo finder to help create more heavy ammo. I love using a machine gun almost as a primary weapon, so we want as much heavy ammo as possible. As for the gauntlets, first I bring both momentum transfer and bolstering detonation. That way when we deal damage with our grenades, we get back melee and class ability energy. And yes, these mods activate with Gunpowder Gamble. Then I bring Focusing Strike to have our melees refund our class ability energy. I love using our dodge to reload our weapons, so this lets that happen more often. For the chest mods, in normal content, I'd recommend 2 damage resistance mods like Harmonic Resistance and Concussive Dampener. Then you can bring a Void Reserves mod to carry more special and heavy void ammo. But in hard content, I'd swap out the Reserves mod for another damage resistance mod to help you stay alive a little bit better. As for the leg mods, I like to bring 2 Void Weapon Surges to boost our void weapons by 17% damage. Then I bring a Harmonic Scavenger so that we get more ammo for our void weapons when collecting ammo bricks, again giving us more total ammo to spam our special and heavy weapons. As for the class mods, I first bring Reaper. After we use our class ability, our next weapon kill will create an orb, and since our dodge reloads our weapon, this is a very natural synergy. Then I bring Time Dilation so that our void weapon surge will last for longer. And finally, I bring Powerful Attraction. Now we collect any nearby orbs just by using our class ability. When it comes to artifact or seasonal mods, there are 2 important mods to take, and I'll update the pinned comment if there are any new mods coming in Act 3 that will help this build out even more. If you plan on bringing a grenade launcher, then Concussive Reload is great for weakening enemies whenever you break their shield or weakening champions and bosses. And Curative Orbs is another way to create orbs by breaking a shield for the first time, and you can also boost this one with a tonic so that when you pick up all those orbs you're creating, you'll get a small boost of health. But I'm not sure if Conductive Cosmic Crystal actually activates when considering Volatile Explosions, so use that one at your own risk. But if you are bringing a chill clip weapon, then Hail the Storm can be good to spread more chill, and if you choose to boost it, you gain more shatter damage. When it comes to weapons, you have plenty of options, though the main thing you want to do is to bring a void weapon in both the energy and the heavy slot. But in that kinetic slot, I love to bring a chill clip weapon. That way, if you don't have any abilities ready, you can use this weapon to start that volatile cycle. Tanisha's Mastery is a great option, offering you good ammo economy and damage, and can roll with chill clip. Though if you want to opt for a grenade launcher, then you can go with something like Liturgy if you want to take advantage of those artifact perks, since it can also roll with chill clip. For that energy slot, I was having a ton of fun with the Velocity Baton. This area denial grenade launcher made it super easy to proc volatile explosions on large groups of enemies. Plus, you can get a roll that has attrition orbs to mass produce orbs, and you can even bring something like Buried Bloodline to cause a ton of weakening and activate Devour, though you will struggle a bit more with ammo economy. And if you don't want to run a double special loadout, then something like Graviton Lance or a legendary weapon with Repulsor Brace will be a good alternative. And finally, in that heavy slot, if you're facing a boss that you want to melt, like in raid and dungeon scenarios, then I'd opt for Edge Transit, since it can roll with bait and switch. Otherwise, I love running a Void Machine Gun. Hammerhead can get some pretty nasty damage rolls, like Rampage and Killing Tally. Though if you want more consistent ammo and DPS, Retrofit Escapade with 4 times the charm and target lock is a good alternative. Well, there you have it, Guardians. I've just covered a build that creates a ton of volatile explosions, gives you constant overshield and invisibility for a ton of survivability. But if you want to see a Warlock build that causes a ton of solar explosions, then go check out this video here. But remember, mastering this build is only the beginning. Experiment with different combinations and tweak your loadout to suit your playstyle. If you found this video helpful or just enjoyed seeing a new perspective, feel free to like the video and comment down below on what you might change or how you'd improve the Volatile Explosions build. Keep an eye out for future videos as we continue to explore the ever-evolving world of Destiny 2. Until then, may the threads of fate be ever in your favor. This is Lucky Mech, signing off. See you on the next adventure, Guardians.